Morning, boys and girls. In this video, we're going to be going over lesson 11.05, and today's lesson is about how to convert customary units of weight. The word customary, as we talked about before when we were talking about customary units of length, is the units of measurement that we use in the United States and nowhere else in the world practically. So these are American weights, and we're going to use them to convert today between different sizes of weight. I have a chart here down at the bottom that I'm going to be using, and you can kind of see that right here on the bottom part of my screen. This is the customary units of weight chart, and I also have customary units of length, and there's also, later on, I'm going to be doing units of capacity, and those are all going to be found on what's called the customary units chart that I have in the class website under Math Resources. I also posted a link for it in the Thursday, April 16th agenda, so you can look at it there as well. So let's get started with converting. I'm going to look at my very first one, which is right here, and I'm converting 96 ounces into pounds. So what I want to do is I'm going to go onto my paper right here, and I'm going to write it out. 96 ounces equals blank pounds. And LB stands for pounds as a reminder. What I first want to do is I want to remind myself whether ounces is the smaller unit or the bigger unit compared to pounds. And if I remember, ounces are small. An ounce is about the weight of a slice of bread, and a pound is about the weight of, 1 pound is about the weight of a shoe. So obviously the ounce is going to be the smaller unit of measurement. So I'm going to be going from a smaller unit of measurement to a big one, or more accurately, a bigger. I'm going to go from a smaller unit to a bigger unit. And when I go from smaller to bigger, I divide. Miss Garcia had a great way to remember this. She used my friend here, Shakes, and she said, Shakes buys donuts. And strangely, that really helps me to remember because I always forget sometimes whether I'm going from smaller to bigger, do I multiply or divide? But I just remember Shakes buys donuts. So when I go from smaller to bigger, I'm going to be dividing. And what actually am I going to be dividing here? I'm going to look down my bottom here with my customary units of weight. I first need to know how many ounces are in 1 pound. And as I look here at the bottom, I notice it says 1 pound equals 16 ounces. So what I'll do is I'll take my 96 ounces and I'll divide it by the number of ounces in 1 pound, which is 16. When I have that, then what I'll do is I'll go ahead and do some dividing. I'll take 96 divided by 16. Let me see here. 3, no, 4, 5. Let me try 6. 16 times 6 is 36. Oh, it works out perfectly. So I have 16 times 3 equals 96. So that means that up here, 96 ounces equals an even 3 pounds. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move on down to another problem, which is number 6. And number 6 says 1.5 tons equals blank pounds. I'm going to go and turn this paper so I have a little bit more space, so it's a little bit easier for you to see everything. So I'm going to write down here my 1 5/10 tons equals blank pounds. Now in this case, boys and girls, a ton is a pretty big unit of measurement. It is the weight of I think in the math book it shows you a bison. So it's a lot. It's 2,000 pounds. So it's obviously a lot more than a single pound right here. So in this case, we're going from a bigger unit of measurement, which is the ton, down to a smaller unit of measurement. Now when we go from Shakes, buys, donuts, smaller to bigger, we divide. So in this situation, we go from bigger to smaller, we're going to multiply. And Ms. Garcia yesterday could not come up with a sentence that might fit that, but I bet you if you email me, some of you out there will have a really good idea of what we could say here for a sentence. So I'd love to hear your ideas. We could share those and come up with something that helped me to remember when I multiply and when I divide. So here I know that I'm going from bigger to smaller and I'm going to multiply. So I'll take my 1 5/10 tons and I'm going to find out how many pounds are actually in a ton. I look at my customary units of weight and my 1 ton equals 2,000 pounds. So what I'll be doing is I'll be multiplying 1 5/10 multiplied by 2,000. And there's many ways you can multiply it. I just did some mental math here. 1 5/10 times 2 is going to be 3. And then I just add my 1, 2, 3 zeros right here. So that now I have 3,000 pounds. So I know that 1 5/10 equals 3,000 pounds. Because I went from a bigger to a smaller unit of measurement, I multiplied. I'm going to move down a little bit and try some other one of these problems so you can kind of see some different things we're doing. And I'm going to change out the paper really quick so you have, I want to write, so I have plenty of room for you to see. I'm going to look at number 8 right now. And the one thing I noticed about number 8 is that it has two spaces here. It has pounds and it has ounces. We're converting 50 ounces to some pounds and a remainder of blank ounces. When you see these on a worksheet or any math problems, you know that most likely you're going to have a remainder and the remainder is going to be expressed as the smaller unit. So in this case, it's going to be ounces. And that's just a good pro tip to know that when you see that, you're going to be using a remainder there. Let me go ahead and write it down and then I'll take a look at what operation I'm going to be using. I'm taking 50 ounces and I'm going to be converting it to blank pounds and a remainder of some ounces. I'm not going to worry about this run first. I'm going to look at this pounds and ounces to see how I'm going to be, what operation I'm going to be using. Here it says ounces and pounds, so I know that ounces are smaller than pounds, and I'll be going to a bigger. Oh, I remember that one. Shakes, buys, donuts. So that means that we're going to be dividing. So smaller to bigger, we're going to divide. I'll take that 50 ounces and I'm going to look at how many ounces are in one single pound. It looks like here on my customary units of weight, 16 ounces are equal to 1 pound. That's what I'll do here. I'll go ahead and, all right, perfect. Oops. So now that I know that, I'm going to go ahead and divide. I'm going to take my 50 ounces and I'm going to divide it by 16. Looks like 3 will work here. So 16 times 3 is 48. I'm going to have 2 left over. And that remainder is going to become the ounces in the answer. So what I'll do is I'll take this 3 and I'm going to put that into my pounds. 50 ounces equals 3 pounds, but I'm not done yet. I've got my remainder from dividing. So what I'll do is I'll take that 2 and I'll put that into my ounces. So now I've converted 50 ounces into 3 pounds, 2 ounces. Let's move on to number 9. Let's draw a line here to show that I'm moving on. And I'll write your number 9. I haven't been labeling these, and I probably should to help you to see what problem number we're working on. Now, boys and girls, on number 9, I see a fraction here. And that fraction can be a little challenging if you look at it first. You're like, well, how do I solve that? How do I convert that? And I want to show you what you will do. So the converting here is asking you to take 1 1/4 pound and convert it into ounces. Now, before I do any converting, I first want to know what operation I need to do, whether it's going to be multiplying or dividing. So I just look at the unit of weights. I look at pounds, I look at ounces. I know that pounds is a larger unit of measurement than ounces. So I'm going from a bigger unit of measurement to a smaller unit of measurement. And up here, I went from a smaller and big to a bigger, and I divided. So when I go from a bigger to a smaller, I'm going to multiply. And that's what I'll do here. What I next have to do is look at how many ounces are in a pound, and looks like it's 16 ounces equals 1 pound. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to take that 1 1/4 pounds, and I really don't even need to write the 1/4 pounds here. So let me just rewrite that again so it's a little bit less confusing. 1 1/4 pounds, and I'm going to multiply it by 16, which is the total number of ounces in 1 pound. And that will get me my solution for how many ounces are in 1 1/4 pounds. There are a couple ways that you can do this, boys and girls. One way is just to remember what we've been doing previously during the year, which involves multiplying a mixed number. Because this is a mixed number right here, I can turn it into an improper fraction. I take the 1 1/4 and I turn it into 5/4. Now I can multiply this 5/4 by 16, but let me turn that 16 into an improper fraction. Now I'm able to multiply straight across, and I'll do that right now. I'll take 16 times 5, and I'll move over here. Looks like I've got 80, and 4 times 1 is 4. So 80 divided by 4 is going to equal 20. So it looks like 1 1/4 pounds is equal to 20 ounces. Some of you may also notice, boys and girls, that 1 1/4 pounds would also equal 1 25/100 pounds. And you can also multiply that by 16, and you will end up with 20. So either way of solving this is fine. Converting the mixed number into an improper fraction or turning the mixed number into a decimal. Either way is fine to solve that. The important thing is to show your work so when you're checking your answers tomorrow, you can see how you solved it if you needed to fix any mistakes. Let's move on to a few more of these, and then I'll let you go and get started on your assignment for today. Now, boys and girls, for here on number 10, we see that we're going with 7,000 pounds is equal to blank tons. Now, if you notice on this one, there is no space. Like up above here, they give you a space for the leftover, for the remainder. They don't give you a space here for the pounds if there's going to be a remainder. That means that what we want you to do is if there's no space here for the remainder in a smaller unit of measurement, to show your remainder as a fraction of a ton. What does that mean? I'll show you right now. We're going to take 7,000 pounds and we're going to convert it into tons. So first of all, I'm going to look at pounds and I'm going to say to myself, is that smaller or bigger than tons? Pounds actually is smaller. So we'll go ahead and I'm going to write here smaller to remind myself. I'm going from smaller to bigger. Shakes, buys, donuts. So we're going to go from smaller to bigger. We're going to divide. Next, what I do, boys and girls, is I figure out how many pounds are in a ton, which down here in the chart, 2,000 pounds equals 1 ton. So I'm going to go ahead and take 7,000. I'm going to divide it by the number of pounds in 1 ton, which is 2,000. And I can do some mental math or just some dividing here. I'll just do 7. I just want to help to remind myself. 7 divided by 2, that's 3. I'm going to have a remainder of 1. So what I am going to have is 3,000 pounds, or 3 tons. Sorry about that, boys and girls. I have 3 tons. But if you notice, I have a remainder here. I have a remainder of 1. I could turn that 1, oh, let me show it right here. There, I have a remainder of 1. I could show that remainder of 1 as a fraction of a whole ton. So the remainder of 1 is basically 1,000 pounds. And since there's 2,000 pounds in 1 ton, I can write the remainder like this. And let me do it this way. I'm going to erase that t for tons, and I'm going to add in my remainder as a fraction. I'm going to take my remainder, which is 1. I'm going to put it on top right here. My denominator is my divisor. So now I have 3 1/2 tons. Instead of saying 3 tons with a remainder of 1,000 pounds, I changed this to 3 1/2 ton, because 1,000 pounds is basically 1/2 ton. Our final one I want to show you is number 11, and this one's a little strange too because it's got a fraction, so I want to show you how to work on this one. This time it's showing you 3/4 ton equals blank pounds. So we have 3/4 tons equals blank pounds. How can we solve this? First of all, we check to see whether we're going to be multiplying or dividing. Tons is going to be the bigger unit of measurement. We're going to be going down to pounds, which is a smaller unit of measurement. And since we know that when we go from smaller to bigger, we divide, we also know that when we go from bigger to smaller, we're going to multiply. That means I'm going to take my 3/4 of a ton, and I'm going to take that fraction, and I'm going to multiply it. And I'm going to multiply it by the number of pounds in 1 ton. Looks like here 2,000 pounds are in 1 ton, so that's what I'm going to multiply. 3/4 multiplied by 2,000. Okay, now another way to look at that is to remember that that is 3/4 of 2,000. So what I will do is I will turn, well, I think the easiest way to do this one would be to take 3/4, leave that alone. And if you remember, when we multiply fractions, we need to have 2 fractions. This needs to be turned into an improper fraction, which I'll do here by taking 2,000 and putting it over 1. That gets me 6,000 over 4. A pretty big improper fraction, and now what I want to do is turn it into a mixed number. What I'll go ahead and do is turn it over to here. I'm going to take my 6,000 and I'm going to divide it by 4. 4 times 6, 1. So I have 4 right here. 6 minus 4 is 2. 20. 4 times 5 is 20. That's going to leave me with a 0, and I just put zeros here for the rest of it. So my answer is that I have 1,500 pounds. When I go up to here, I now know that 3/4 of a ton, or 3/4 of a ton, is equal to 1,500 pounds. Okay, boys and girls, that should give you a really good idea of how to solve today's problems for lesson 1105 on your assignment. If you do have any questions, please feel free to email myself or Miss Garcia. We'll be here to help you. Good luck today on the assignment. And again, email us if you have any questions or just rewind the video. Bye-bye.